Today, a superb watch from a superb brand not many people know about. But why? Let's get into it! Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Today I'm going to review a watch from a brand I have never showcased before on this channel. It is Certina. Have you heard of them? Chances are, if you are not a watch enthusiast, you would not have a clue about this brand. But if you're a dive watch enthusiast, you should know about this brand. Now, I think this brand has a huge problem, and I'm going to save that little rant of mine for the end of the show. But the bulk of today is about a certain new watch that has recently come out that I needed to look at. For anyone that loves Doxa, Seiko, Omega, the watch today has those vibes going on, has legitimate historical relevance, and is pretty much a like-for-like design that Certina first came out with in 1969-1970. So watch history from a brand that came out in the 1880s, and it's a diver. I am on it. Now, it's a big thank you to Francis & Gay Jewelers. They are sponsors of today's show. They are an authorized dealer of not just Certina, but many, many, many wonderful brands you and I love. Honestly, I don't know why you would shop anywhere else if you are in the UK at least, because not only are they competitive in prices to anyone else around, the MWC is doing a few special let's say offers with certain brands to save you a few quid. And if you do like your Certinas, stick around to the end of the show because I'm going to try and save you another few quid. So let's show you today's watch, give you my wife's first thoughts about it, and then let me tell you why I think Certina has a bit of a problem. Are you Certina ready? Let's go. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Certina DS Super PH1000M STC. It's a long name. Look at this turquoise beauty. Do you see what I mean? It's got those Seiko vibes, those Doxa sub vibes. There's a bit of a Plo Prof in there as well. It's an absolutely stunning looking tall dive watch, and I'm so glad I've got it on the show. It's a very unusual design when it comes to the bezel. The polishing on the sides of the case are magnificent. It's a beautiful looking vintage inspired watch. Absolutely everyone would be proud to own. Now the name, so we know it's Certina, but DS, which is short for double security. Now the brand Certina made a huge name for themselves in 1959 when they came out with the DS concept, which basically was the movement inside was encapsulated by a rubber ring, which took a lot of shock absorption, making the watch pretty darn tough. So we got the DS done. Now super means, well, just basically super. Yes, exactly that. Anyway, on first impressions of this watch, it would look great in my collection. Quick spec check. Okay, so these are very, very deceiving specifications. The diameter of this watch is 43.5 millimeters, which is pretty darn big for my liking and my 6.5-inch wrist. However, when you've only got a lug-to-lug of 48 millimeters, that is around a millimeter bigger than a Black Bay 58, this thing could wear lovely. And considering the dial diameter is only 28 millimeters, I think this is going to suit me well. Anyway, we've got a 14 millimeter thickness and a strapaholic lug width of 20 millimeters. Now yes, 40 millimeters is rather big on paper, but this watch with its screw down crown and screw down case back has a water resistance rating of 1,000 meters. Do what? Yeah, 1,000. In case you really went deep. How deep? Deep, deep. The case has been designed in a way you don't see that 14 millimeters at all. The dial is protected by a flat sapphire glass that is just slightly raised above the bezel insert. Definitely has some sort of AR coating on the inside, as it is a very clear dial. And right away from its over-engineered 1,000 meters of water resistance, which is not needed really for us, is it? This watch has some great bits of tech on it. For example, the automatic helium escape valve. Now, my whole love and fascination with this watch definitely comes with the bezel. The bezel grip sure does remind me of a Omega Pro Prof, and I love how the bezel is sloping. And this makes that 43.5mm diameter far more wearable. Anyway, when it comes to twisting that bezel, it is quite unique. It has a great security feature, so as you don't knock the bezel, it's actually spring loaded, so you can only twist it when you push the bezel in and then twist. When you're done, let go of it and it locks in place. It cannot move. Have a listen to the ratchet. It sounds like a Seiko bezel. It doesn't feel like a Seiko bezel, but it sounds like one. I would have loved it more if the grip of the bezel was all either sandblasted or brushed, but I think it's awesome. And the fact they have used an aluminium insert and not gone for a shiny, gaudy ceramic one makes this more special to me and to dive watch lovers out there. Another over-engineering part, or just basically a practical common sense thing, we have 4 vents that go in each corner of the case at the back. And what that does is flush out any sand or stone particles that might clog and stop the bezel from working, which I think is absolutely genius. This watch comes with an FKM rubber strap, really nice to the touch, very malleable, very soft. I'm not a massive fan of the Go Faster orange stitching. I know it matches the handset and the hour markers. It just feels a little bit cheap for me. The tang buckle is finished really well. Okay, let's look at the face.
Dial time.
And I absolutely love it, don't I? Those applied 1960s markers. It's a definite unusual turquoisey colour. Does go so well with the orange accents on the hour markers. I love how that little logo just above Certina is glistening in the light. It's a very simple dial. They're just for legibility. That's what I like. Not these stupid wavy things, you know, just for show. Great sword handset. A bit of orange always looks good on a diver, doesn't it? I don't mind the date window at 3 o'clock because those applied markers are bright white colour. It matches so well with the date window. It all looks pretty sweet. So we've got lume on the bezel pip, we've got lume on the hands and lume on the hour markers. Out of 10, how much does this puppy glow? Not bad. Swiss Superluminova. It's not a Seiko level, but it is very decent. Okay, so a slight bone of contention when it comes to this watch is what's powering it. Now, seeing as though this brand is part of the Swatch Group, you could almost bet your life that a Powermatic 80 was very close around the corner. Most of the brands that are under the Swatch umbrella, that are under the £1,000 mark, use a Powermatic 80, which is basically an ETA 2824 that has been slowed down in their beats per hour to just 21,600, so a 3 hertz movement. But what that does is increase the service intervals and increase the power reserve, which is something brands all around the world seem to think we want a lot of. I honestly couldn't give a crap about power reserve if I'm being honest. 24 hours would do me. But we have to understand that if this watch housed a 4 hertz movement, it would probably be 3 to 4 to 500 pounds more. It's like that with Seiko, it's like that with Hamilton. I would prefer a 4 hertz movement in this watch, but it is what it is.
Hello.
On my 6.5-inch wrist, and crikey people, this watch is right up my alley. It is a little tall at 14mm thickness, but it's a 1,000-meter diver, people. Plus, this watch does a very good job of hiding the girth. I really love the satinized finish on the tops of the lugs, and I just think it's a darn good watch. Outside, it's even better. I should have bought this at the start of the summer, because this would have been the perfect summer or holiday diver. The strap's really comfortable, and the overall wear of it is spot on. So there we go, the Certina DS Super PH1000M STC. Definitely the best Certina I have ever handled, seen or reviewed. Well, it's the only one I reviewed, but there'll be more to come. Certina has a great diving history that takes you right back to 1959. Pioneers when it comes to shock absorption. Now, to buy this watch new, it's going to cost you £885. However, if you type this code on the Francis & Gay website checkout, you will get a significant chunk of dollar whipped right off that total, making this watch almost irresistible. For me, a dive watch lover, a brand's history lover, this watch is a perfect fit for me. And for anyone that was scared about 43.5 millimeters, look at it. Fits my little old wrists, so it'll definitely fit yours. So here it is, my wife's thoughts on the Certina DS Super PH 1000M STC. Here we go. Looks like a giant button. Really don't like the colour turquoise. It looks like a squished macaroon. Not sure about this one. Well, she doesn't particularly like watches, just remember that. And she definitely don't like dive watches, but yeah, she probably wouldn't like me buying this one. Okay, on to my rant about Certina. Now, as you can see, in their lineup, they have come out with some beautiful watches, like-for-like ones, from their huge back catalogue they've had over the decades. But if you're not really deep into watches, you don't know this brand exists. Speak to any non-watch lover out there and they'd think Certina was an old 70s car. However, they all know about Tissot, don't they? Little do they know, if they was to walk past an AD and see a selection of Tissots in the shop window, right next to them would be Certinas. Personally, and this is coming from a watch enthusiast on the outside, I'm only looking from the outside, I don't think the Swatch Group know where to place Certina. In your price tier hierarchy, you have Swatch, Tissot, Longines, Omega, Blancpain, Breguet. Where does Certina sit in that tier list? Probably squished in between Tissot and Longines. I think at times the Swatch Group have hidden Certina in the shadows, and a lot of marketing budget has gone into Tissot. Now, obviously, the Swatch Group, they need to shift some stock. And a lot of Certina these days do look slightly generic watches that look a little bit like something and don't really have enough character to make you cling in. Although I do love this chronograph. Very cool looking dial. But are you going to spend £1,500 on a Certina chronograph? I am a huge fan of the brand Certina. And if I was in charge, I would double down on watches like this. Get rid of half your inventory. Pump loads of money into marketing these watches in the likes of Esquire. And let's see Certina give Tissot a proper elbow. It's time they stood out of the shadow of Tissot and made the average watch buyer aware of Certina. This is just my opinion, okay? I want Certina to do well. Rant over. Another big thank you to Francis & Gay for sending these watches in to me. Remember, this code, it's gonna get you some amazing deals on their website. Anyway, if you want a bit more of the Mad Watch Collector, click there and join, yeah. But if I've got you for a few more minutes, why don't you click this one? This is, well, this is epic. This is the word I describe this one. Epic. Pure epicnism. Go on, click it. You'll love it. Go on, click it. Click it.